Entry number 36, July 13th, 2017. I'm recording this in two parts because I don't want it to go over 15 minutes. That's the longest YouTube will allow me to record. The last 2 days have been extremely rough going. Right after I finished the last entry, I got on the Max at Skidmore Fountain to head out to Washington County. I think it was about 2 o'clock p.m., or maybe even more like 3 o'clock p.m. I called MWR to let him know what was going on. The coin god selected Washington Park Zoo. I got 3 heads right off the bat. I found a few cans and bottles there, but there is no store there, so I got back on the Max and the coin god selected the very next stop, Sunset Transit Center. Again, I found a few cans there, but again, no store there. I traded a lighter I found a few days ago for a smoke. I lost my matches a few days back, so I had to ask him for a light in case I couldn't find matches soon enough. I went to the strip bar right across the street to see if they had matches. They did. I kicked a golf ball I found before I entered the bar. There wasn't a dancer on the stage, so I didn't get to sneak a peek. When I got out of the bar, I continued kicking the golf ball. I forgot to mention that on my way to the mini mall where I traded for the smoke, still on TriMet property in fact, I found a Red Bull can that I thought still had some Red Bull in it. I went to drink it and found out too late that it was someone's spit. I swallowed a bit of it, retched, and eventually puked a little. Retched some more, then puked a little more. While I was in the middle of retching, a guy came up to me and asked if I was okay. I said I was. He said I looked like I was in pain, and would I like some marijuana? I said no, and then said, quote, I can't, I'm on probation, end of quote. He said he was too, that he was on probation starting that day, in fact. I just said, quote, huh, end of quote, and continued on my way. I am completing this the next day, as I got too tired last night. While I'm bearing my shame, as it were, a few nights ago, I forgot to mention in the last entry that I went to fart and shit my pants. I had to change my pants and underwear. So after I got done talking to the guy with the pot, I also forgot to mention that I went to a Mexican food stand and asked if I could have their bottles and cans, because Mexican food stand operators often let me have them. It looked like they were going to let me have them, but at the last minute, they decided not to. Said they were saving them for a friend. So after I got done collecting bottles and cans at Sunset Transit Center, I got back on the Max. It was a red line, so the next stop, Beaverton Transit Center, was its last stop. But the coin god didn't select Beaverton Transit Center. So I collected cans and bottles at Beaverton Transit Center until the next blue line to Hillsborough came along. I almost missed it, busy searching a trash can. It was very crowded. I had to stand. The coin god selected one of 2 stops for which my route is to walk down Murray Boulevard. It was the one where I travel through the woods first. I found a lot of my bottles and cans on the ground, which makes sense since the central bottle and can return place reduces people's incentive to save them. When I got to the mini mall, which was my destination, I eventually finally went into the Safeway or Albertsons, whichever it was, and verified that they had switched to the central bottle return machine. I was using one of their carts. I checked the laundromat to see if anyone had discarded any clothes I could use. No one had. While I was checking the trash at a gas station, a woman gave me about 4 water bottles. I made the mistake of dumping the water on the ground, which got one of the attendants to shoo me away. Later, just before I waited for the bus, I went back to that gas station mini mart and bought an Arizona iced tea, green tea with ginseng and honey for 99 cents. There are 2 bus lines that stop at that stop, only one of which goes near Fred Meyer's. Goes to the Fred Meyer's wedged between TV Highway and Beaverton Hillsdale Highway, featured in entry number 3. I decided that if that bus line came first, I would get off near the Freddy's and try to catch that central bottle return place before they closed. If it was the other one, I would head home. When the bus came, it was the one that went by Freddy's. There is a closed down Game Crazy at that mall with the Freddy's. It's probably been closed with no effort to take it down or repurpose it for at least 4 years. I went behind the building and behind some bushes there to take a pee and found a bottle cap that read, quote, "Kindness is always in order," end of quote. Maybe it was in response to a wish I wished on a wish seed that I would get that SSI on the first attempt. I found a Freddy's cart and put my stuff in it, but worried about the cops. Luckily, I then found a Safeway cart, probably one I had left there weeks ago. I transferred my stuff to it. I got to the bottle return before 9 o'clock p.m., but then discovered that I had previously read the sign wrong. They actually close at 6 p.m. They open at 9 o'clock a.m., which was the source of the confusion. So I decided, what the hell, I would stay on Beaverton Hillsdale Highway until 11 o'clock p.m., or until I reached the end of what I call civilization, whichever came first. I have forgotten to mention that I took some pictures and shot some video all this time. I haven't uploaded them yet. So anyway, I called MWR to give him the news. It turned out I hit the end of civilization, and it got to be about 11 o'clock p.m. at about the same time. By this time, I had an excellent supply of cans and bottles. I have forgotten to mention that while climbing an embankment, I slipped and fell down, causing a little pain, and later I discovered a small hole in the seat of my pants. While waiting for the bus line 54, I texted MWR a picture of my face, including the feather in my hat. MWR soon had to text me to stop texting him as he was trying to sleep, and the text alert on his phone made an annoying sound. I forgot to mention that I made a cursory search for my old hat while I was on Beaverton Hillsdale Highway 2, but I didn't find it. The bus came at about 11:09 p.m., and I got off at about 11:30 p.m., making it home at about 11:45 p.m. I forgot to mention that at the Taco Bell right behind the bus stop on Beaverton Hillsdale Highway, I found 6 cents in pennies in their drive-thru, bringing my total to 91 cents. When I got to my room, I discovered the hole in the seat of my pants and changed my pants and put on some deodorant, etc. for my psychovalve the next day. I took my Zyprexa and my Trazodone and went to bed. I think I got to sleep at about 2 o'clock a.m., if I remember correctly. My alarm woke me up at 9:30 a.m. I made my 10 o'clock a.m. appointment on time. I don't really know how it went, so don't ask. The previous night, I had left Jeff 2 messages, one asking him for my PO's number and one asking that it be a text message, because I also had an appointment with my PO at 1 o'clock p.m., and I didn't know if I could make it and didn't know my PO's number. The next morning, as I was heading out the door for the psych appointment, Jeff was in his office, so I asked if he had gotten my messages. He in return asked if I had received his text. I hadn't noticed it, so I checked my text. He had sent me a file I couldn't open, so I told him such and asked that he retext it more directly. He did, and I, quote, clicked on it, end of quote, and saved it to my contacts and called my PO with the news.